Right, here we are again. Good. Yeah, I mean, to me, Cindy, I want to say how precious it is for everyone to hear one another speaking from their own voice with their tones of voice, because, we've been brought up, and you and I have spoken a bit about this in private, I think, just very briefly. These people that are intending to stay in power above us and over us and enslaving us deeper, all of their efforts are to put out the influencers, the trained voices, the ones that are going to groom you in, and I've been groomed in several times because I simply had not grasped the depth and breadth of the sinister agenda. So if I heard someone saying something about, they were dissing like maybe the spiritual stuff, but they were talking about nature and like how much damage certain characters have done on the planet. And of course, I'm like, yes, exactly. But then, of course, they're saying that to groom me in, to listen to their voice until bamboozled. Where's my fucking voice now? It's had someone else's imposed on top. So to me, we are fighting for our voices because there is no one in power that is bringing a benevolent future. There is nothing but the opposite. And whether we fail to turn this around or not doesn't matter to me anymore. But it is the desire to say, I understand that we've been living as captured beings that are being abused from childhood. And we will speak now. We will speak now. We will document this out loud with one another without any freaking power hierarchy of someone has so many more followers than someone else. No, we will come out together and be with one another and hear one another. You and I said that the other day, didn't we, Cindy? It's like we actually want to hear one another. We're not actually requiring necessarily more and more education, more and more education. Let's find out more and more how they're killing us. Let's find out more and more. That is a major part of it too. Like you said, we are learning loads from all of us. And my longing is that we also bring out the inner knowing that saw it from childhood, has already experienced it from childhood, has disliked it intensely from childhood. Where are our voices as individuals? That's my longing. Like, if a dream came true, that is my dream come true, that more and more and more of us will not take this shit and we will speak out.
Well, you said when we were organising this video, you said that you wanted to talk about shaming,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that's instilled in us. That's another part of the abuse.
Yeah.
That you're not, what is shame? And it's basically to feel disgrace or guilt, or to be perceived, or to for your self-esteem to be sort of depreciated. And I think that people are awfully afraid of being ashamed, because, well, I think it's pretty much a fact, that when, the first time you listen to yourself on a tape, like you heard your own voice, right? Didn't you go,
Yeah.
oh, I sound awful. I don't sound
Yeah.
like that in my head. But when I hear it in a
Yeah.
recording, the first time, you look into this camera and put it in selfie mode, you're like, oh God, I've aged, I've this, I've that, it's very much
Yeah.
something that's, I think, very deep inside humans. I would say that shame is the original policing from our evolutionary biology. When there weren't actual authorities and police, we policed each other. And one of that mechanism would probably have been using shame. Don't shame the family, or
Yeah.
shame on you for doing this or that.
Yeah.
And I feel that this plays a I feel it plays a huge role in people not voicing their opinions. And it's not by accident. One of the first documents I encountered in 2020, because, I was ashamed of just having an opinion when all these other people were looking at documents,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I started opening up, the big documents as well. And one of those documents, I wish I remembered that. I know I've got an actual printed copy of it. Is it possible that it's possibly even on, like, I've been carrying it around thinking I always want to talk about this document, because it was one of those things that I couldn't get out into the sphere. It
Yeah.
was censored, because it was a step-by-step guide of how to persuade people to take the vaccine. So it's a
Yeah.
policy document,
Yeah.
but it's also an exploratory and explanatory document, which says these are steps to take, like give advice, it should come from a doctor, it should come from a respected member of the community, blah, blah, blah. And it went down a list, and it started off rather kind of benign,
Yeah.
gentle coaxing, and then into nudging. But if you kept reading the document, the raison d'etre, like the main event, the meat and potatoes, was shame.
Yeah.
You will shame them into taking the vaccine. And we'll probably have to get to that, and that's where we're heading. And we know that works, because, well, that's what works. So, and I've seen this repeatedly in many of the documents, or the websites that I've looked at for things like, behavior works. This is a UK and an Australian organization, which is basically just code for non-government profiteering think tank policy, makers, shapers, and all of that. Propagandists. Shame is never missing. It's never
No.
missing. It's like that's the thing. And so that mindset and that fear
Yeah.
of being shamed is really powerful. It's not just to shame you to take the vaccine, it's also to shame you into not speaking.
Yeah. I mean, this is it, isn't it, Cindy? And I wanted to, everything you said, yes, yes, yes. And it's like, I have spoken to friends, privately, on these WhatsApp things, whatever, to describe, to share our actual, we have tried to describe what it's actually been like for us since 2020, to speak out and take action and da 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 da, whether it's friends or family, ex-work colleagues, because we all no longer are welcome in the workplace, etc., whatever, even to one's children. When my personal experience has been that claiming my right to speak out loud has been an intensely painful experience, and still is. That the body goes into, what I'm going to put the PTSD words on it, because I don't know what else to say, a traumatic feeling, because suddenly all the programming, as you've just described, comes up, which is you mustn't do that because you'll shame the family or the tribe or the community. And I found loads in me. I found loads of the programming in me. And I documented it within myself and decided to go ahead anyway, which hurts a lot. So it was also, you will be executed physically. You will be imprisoned for life. You will be abandoned from the tribe. You will be excommunicated. You will have your children taken, whatever it is. You will be homeless. You will be, it's like a bottomless pit of, if you do this, this will happen. And the ones for me that were the major ones were, you are going to be executed and imprisoned for life. Those were the major ones, along with the you will have your children taken. This isn't just a tiny thought that goes like that. It's a full-on thing like this within that makes you not want to speak out. Or if you do, you have to do it like this. We're being genocided. Which
Yeah,
is
I
traumatic.
can't I can't stand that shit. When I mean I've seen that version of it, and I've seen the other version of it that's just cool and calm and collected,
Yeah, ascending.
and which is actually, it's apropos that you mention it, because I get shamed for being angry
Yeah,
regularly.
yeah,
This is, I've come to the conclusion that that's proper trolling.
yeah,
That it's targeted and designed to make me feel ashamed. And because you mentioned it yesterday,
hmm,
that we might be talking about shame, um, I I did I did a little bit of googling and a bit of thinking about it, right? And I'm looking at my notes here. Um, I said I wasn't going to do notes, and I did notes because I'm a woman. I get to change my mind all the
yeah.
time.
Like I changed my mind not to start with shame because we're spontaneous. I'm traumatized.
um, so I must have taken screenshots and not written that part down. But it is the most powerful social motivator, right? And shame is, I was looking for just its definition, what its other words were.
Yeah,
And of course, I didn't write those down either. Painful feeling of guilt or disgrace, dishonor, insult, loss of esteem or reputation, is what I have managed to, guilt and disgrace. And so yesterday, after the live video, the response to you and Nikki, I got a lot of support and encouragement and love, which is very soothing.
yeah,
Um, there's no doubt about that. And there was one single comment, of, oh, when you start ranting, when you get angry and you rant, I can't listen to you. That was the comment, right?
yeah.
And I don't even know, like, was I even that angry? Did I rant that hard? Because, like, on my spectrum and
Yeah,
my
that
scale of ranting, that was pretty. It wasn't much, right?
it wasn't much. It
And
was like a story time.
yeah, but see, when people leave comments like that, I check the profile that it's come from, and
Okay.
it's like, oh, I've been here before. I've checked this profile before. I don't have time to check the profiles of well-meaning people or comments that I just respond to and that seem normal to me. So not just, it doesn't have to be a glowing review, but if it's just a normal kind of comment, some sort of, you're bringing something to the table, you've got some contribution.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll just deal with that. I don't have the patience to go and check everybody's profile. Like, who are you? It just,
mm,
I don't do it. But when I see something like that, I've had a lot of practice now. I've been here for 3.5 years.
yeah,
And because you had triggered me about this shame thing, like you put it at the forefront of my brain, I'm thinking, oh, I feel ashamed of myself. I
yeah,
recognize the feeling that your words have given me, and I'm like, oh, let's check your profile. And then it's like, oh, I've been here before looking at this profile with 3 pictures and nothing else.
yeah.
um yeah, Okay. So it's like, okay, you've done this before, so you're going, like you're out because you're not you only want to hurt me. You're not contributing anything. What you're doing is you're trying to dissuade anybody from watching the video if they encounter your comment. Oh, that's a mad woman. So it's a very powerful tool, just as powerful as the last video. No, as a post that I had made, and somebody had come in and said again that they're using the same the same nerve, they're poking the same nerve in me. They're saying, oh, when you said frothing at the mouth, which was actually a misquote. I said I was seething with rage. I didn't say I was frothing at the mouth. So this person came in and said, Cindy, frothing at the mouth, Niles, I'm turned off you. And it's like, what kind of wording is that?
Yeah.
You've misquoted and you're purporting to quote, and
Yeah.
you've said, I'm turned off you. If I were another man, that was like a signal to me. That's like you're signaling that she's,
Yeah.
really, like it's encroaching on like a sexual thing. So I responded that I was sorry that I didn't turn him on. But like,
Yeah.
whether it was intentional or not, don't shaming's not going to work with me personally, but I want other people to be aware of it, because it's not just the more popular profiles
Yeah.
that this happens to.
Yeah.
I've gone through this right from the beginning when I had 5 friends.
Yeah.
Nothing's actually changed. The only thing that's changed is I got smarter because I had so many loads of examples of it.
Yeah.
So, if somebody out there has like, 100 friends and might get, 1 or 2 reactions, because that's about, the ratio of what they allow, you to have, like 1%. And somebody does that to you, put your guard up
Yeah.
and protect yourself, and don't let it fly, because you get distracted when you're shamed, right? Like you lose your logic, you lose your rationality, because it cuts right to your heart.
Yeah.
So this, yeah, I think it's really powerful what you want to talk about. I think shaming is something we need to really bring to the foreground and talk a lot about it, because it's instructing the normal people out there on what to do and what not to do. It's instructing us when we can talk, how we can talk. Like, how are you allowed to say it, Cindy? Cindy,
Yeah.
you must say it this way so that I feel safe,
Yeah.
when I listen to you. It needs to be like a lullaby. Well, it's not going to be
Yeah.
a fucking lullaby. It doesn't look, when I look at pictures of Greece, when I see a woman in a place where I used to walk, being carried by a current in the middle of a city, when I see, you know, the forests that, I did a bit of tree planting one time. So, because, to reforest.
Yeah.
And when they set that alight, okay, and when they're burning the place, and the ideas, they're burning not just the material thing, Morven. They're burning something I have in my heart and in my head.
Yeah.
Like these precious, precious things that I carry with me.
Yeah.
Like I said to you earlier, I don't have a lot of things in my life that are precious. I don't have children, and I don't have a husband. I don't own a house. So, what are the things that are precious to me? My clothes, my books, and like what's in my head and the connections that I have, and everything else is like real world. What's happening in the world, and what can you take from it, and what can you give to it.
Yeah.
And And I've got some fucking asshole telling me you can't be angry
Yeah.
about what like they're torching and flooding. What the fuck? How do you want to hear it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's too fucked up. It's just too fucked up. Because right from birth as well, we've been conditioned to see someone. And today, the whole of the humanity was wiped out in one fell swoop, with, like you said, with this nicey voice. And sources say all the children died, move on, advert for toothpaste or whatever. It's like, this is so fucked up that we are having to say it out loud, witness it, experience it with no means of stopping it. And this is not just since 2020, is it? As we know, it's been going on for such a long time. And like you said, with the shame of it all, of needing to speak out loud without someone being the pencil monitor about your tone of voice, or how long you took to say something, or whether you are agreeing with like those in the so-called awakening community, like we started off saying that. There are so many figureheads positioned. I think other people call it gatekeeping, and I'm calling it figureheads. And you might have started off being able to identify what was going on in 2020 and you had more people to speak to. But as the time has gone on, they've gone to that figurehead as their mummy and daddy, and they are sheltering there. So when you bring your voice, it's like, but mummy and daddy over there, as the figurehead, said that, or that bigger truth has said that. So you shush, don't want to hear your pain, don't want to hear your agony, don't want to hear how you're translating reality, because you are not the one. You are not the figurehead. And that's all the shaming, as again, and the annihilation and the invisibilizing, isn't it, Cindy? The invisibilizing, the annihilating. What we might as well not exist in material flesh and blood, because the ordinary Joe and Josephina must bow to even the so-called awakened figurehead. And that's
Yeah,
just not on, because that's a repeat of what we've already lived from childhood.
yeah,
Um,
the expert.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's another version of the expert. They're the experts.
Totally, totally. And the new emperor that's naked, that's got fuck all to say, and you must shush and pretend that they've got something valuable to say, when they're just on rinse and repeat with sloganized phrases. And we're supposed to huddle at home and, like you said, and witness your own homeland being wrecked whilst you're not there as well. And actually, the fact that we're living it, it's not happening over there to someone
No,
else.
it's not.
It's
Yeah.
happening to every single one of us. And that's another thing about the shaming, Cindy. We've only got 4 minutes, so let me just say this quickly and we'll come in again. What I notice about the programming of us, humanity, is you are allowed to feel sorry and full of compassion and for the people that are suffering over there. But God help you if you're suffering and feeling the compassion for yourself, along with the grief, the agony, and the anger. But if you do feel that, you shouldn't do it in public, because you must go to a therapist. And there are loads that you can choose. Like, you can have those ones, you can have the
Yeah.
somatic practitioner, you can have the sound healer or the crystal healer or and it's incessant. And when is this going to fucking stop? Because who's going to be able to pay for it when they've fucked up the entire planet, human life, and they bring in their CBDC or whatever the fuck it is they're doing? I mean, we have to be able to speak about this in everyday language. Even if they succeed, we still need to be able to speak about this in everyday language. We can't do that thing where they kind of think that, like, we'll go like this, like you did when you were a child. And then when you open your eyes, it's gone, because that was the childhood programming we had to do too. You know, the fairy story, happily ever after, it's fine.
Yeah.
It really even hurts to speak together, Cindy, doesn't it? I mean, it does for me. My body doesn't like it, but it like,
I'm, I told you that I've had a really emotional day. And because you know, the videos, regardless of their content, the overwhelming response that I get sometimes. And I feel like Facebook has put me on a roller coaster. Like it's on, off, on, off. We're going to give
Yeah.
you more than you can respond to, or we're going to
Yeah.
give you nothing.
Nothing. Yes.
Um,
Addiction,
right?
addiction, abuser frequency.
Yeah, it's like it's the flood or the drought is
Yeah.
how my page is at the moment. And it's also like they're also flooding and droughting the emotional stuff too now. So like 2 days ago, I got the hammering, you know, just like it was the trolling, and then yesterday it was all love, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
hard. It's like the weather going hot, cold. Like the
Yeah.
weather's doing it too, right? We've had like 20 something degrees, and then it was icy. It felt like it was going to snow. And this keeps happening. And it's really, I'm so tired. I need something really a little bit more stable in my life. And it's anything but. Like I might be sort of standing here and really not moving a whole lot, but my whole world
Yeah.
is like, it feels like an earthquake
Yeah.
a lot. And I am, you say you're in pain. I feel just wrung out is how
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
So
It's all of
we'll
it
get,
now, isn't it? It's fucking all of it. Right, Cindy, I'm going to stop the record and we'll come back in.
okay.
This is how professionals do it, guys. Experts.